There aren't many punters in NFL history that became household names. In fact, there might only be one, and that's Pat McAfee. But the real question isn't whether you know who he is.
It's Watson coming down the track!
The question is, how good was Pat McAfee actually? Because today, most people know him as a media personality, one of the loudest and most entertaining voices in sports, hosting one of the biggest shows in the world. But before all of that, he was a 7th-round draft pick, fighting to stay in a league where most punters don't last.
Oh, onside kick try. McAfee recovers his own kick. They're the only team in the league this year to successfully get an onside kick recovery, and they've now got...
McAfee didn't carry himself like a specialist. Growing up, he wasn't just a kicker. He played everything. Soccer, volleyball, football, anything competitive. And that matters more than it sounds, because it gave him something most punters don't have: real athletic confidence. By the time he was a teenager, he had already won a national punt, pass, and kick competition, showing off the leg strength that would eventually define his career. But talent alone doesn't explain how he got his shot. The turning point came during his senior year of high school, when he borrowed $100, entered an underground poker game, turned it into $1,400, and used that money to buy a one-way ticket to a national kicking showcase in Florida. No guarantees, no backup plan, just a belief that he belonged. At that camp, he started drilling kicks from distance, one after another, building a tension with every rep. Then came the moment that stuck: a 70-yard field goal attempt. The ball had the distance. It cleared with room to spare, but it drifted just wide. It didn't matter. What mattered was who saw it. West Virginia's staff was watching, and within minutes, he had a scholarship offer. That's how his college career started. At West Virginia, things didn't just click instantly, and that's important because it adds context to everything that comes later. Early on, he showed flashes of what he could be: strong kickoffs, big leg, moments of confidence, like the onside kick against Louisville in a triple overtime game that helped set up a comeback win. But there were also real struggles: missed kicks in big moments, inconsistency that raised questions. The Pittsburgh game stands out the most: a low-scoring loss with championship implications, where missed field goals played a direct role. Then the Fiesta Bowl, another tough outing. Those moments mattered because they shaped how people viewed him. He wasn't seen as automatic. He wasn't seen as elite yet. He was talented, but unpredictable. And then something changed during his senior year. Not necessarily in raw ability, but in control. He became more consistent, more confident. He hit a career-long 52-yard field goal, climbed the program's scoring leaderboard, finished as West Virginia's all-time leading scorer. But more than anything, he carried himself differently. Less like a kicker trying to prove something, more like a player who knew he belonged. And that's what NFL teams noticed. In the 2009 NFL Draft, he wasn't a headline name. 7th round, late pick. Most players in that range are fighting just to make a roster. And for punters, it's even harder. Many don't get drafted at all. But the Indianapolis Colts saw something in him. Not just the leg strength, but the versatility. Kickoffs, punting, holding. They believed he could handle all of it. And that's exactly what they asked him to do. And this is where things start to matter. Because the Colts weren't rebuilding. They weren't experimenting. They were a Super Bowl team, led by Peyton Manning, with expectations to win immediately. That means there's no margin for error. If you mess up, you're gone. And from day one, McAfee was thrown into pressure situations. Every kickoff mattered. Every punt mattered. Every hold mattered. And he delivered. That rookie season ended in a Super Bowl appearance. And while special teams rarely gets attention in those games, the fact that he handled everything cleanly under that stage says a lot. He wasn't just surviving, he was trusted. Over the next few years, McAfee's production started to stand out. In 2011, he averaged 46 yards per punt. In 2012, that number jumped to over 48 yards, putting him among the best in the league. And that's where the evaluation gets more interesting, because at that point, he wasn't just a personality. He was producing like a top-tier punter. His hang time made returns difficult. His placement pinned teams deep. He was flipping field position consistently. That's real value. But the thing about McAfee is that his impact wasn't just technical, it was visible. Most punters operate in the background. They do their job quietly. McAfee did the opposite. When he pinned a team inside the 10, he celebrated. When a returner broke through, he didn't hesitate. He chased them down. And he didn't just make contact. He delivered hits. Real hits. That's where his athletic background showed up again. He wasn't just a specialist. He was participating in the play. And that changed how people watched him. There are plays you remember, not because of the punt itself, but because of what happened after. Him sprinting downfield. Him making a tackle. Him reacting in a way that made it feel like the moment mattered more. That's not normal for the position. And that's what started to separate him. By 2014, everything came together. This was the peak. This is where you can clearly say he was elite. He led the NFL in touchbacks on kickoffs, consistently pinned opponents deep, and executed multiple onside kicks, including one he recovered himself. That level of versatility is rare. Most punters specialize in one thing. McAfee was contributing in multiple phases, and at the end of that season, he was named First Team All-Pro. That means, for that year, he was considered the best punter in football. Not good, not above average, the best. And when you reach that level, even for one season, it matters. But even then, the perception around him stayed different. Because his personality was always part of the equation. The celebrations, the energy, the way he carried himself. Some people saw it as entertainment. Others saw it as distraction. But what it really did was make people notice. And in a position where being unnoticed is the norm, that's significant. By 2016, he was still performing at a high level. Nearly 49 yards per punt, another Pro Bowl, continued consistency. But behind the scenes, things were starting to break down. His body wasn't holding up the same way. Multiple knee surgeries, lingering pain, and the relationship with the front office wasn't where it used to be. So in 2017, at 29 years old, still playing at a high level, he made a decision most players don't make. He walked away. And that's where the evaluation becomes complicated. Because when you look at all-time punters, longevity matters. Career totals matter. Accolades over time matter. And McAfee doesn't have that. He didn't play long enough to stack those numbers. But what he did have was impact. After football, he became something completely different. The Pat McAfee show exploded. His personality translated perfectly into media. He became one of the biggest voices in sports. And because of that, a lot of people forgot what he actually was on the field. So when you ask the question, was Pat McAfee actually good? You have to separate the noise. Statistically, he was very good. At his peak, elite. First team All-Pro. Strong averages. Consistent production. But the stats don't tell the full story. Because he changed the perception of the position. He made punting something people talked about. Something people noticed. He brought energy to a role that usually doesn't have any. And that matters in a league built on moments. So no, he wasn't just good. He was impactful. He was different. And in a position that almost never produces stars, he became one. If you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe to Playbook, and I'll catch you in the next one.